And there are so many other sectioning elements. We have the article, we have the section itself, we have the footer, we have the header. I'm not sure. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me just do this. Now, let's say you have this web page, right? Many a times you would like to maybe divide your page into your nav bar. Maybe you want your footer to be here, footer, and maybe you want this to be divided into, say, two, then this also, then you have maybe, or better still, you have something like this. Image will be here, image in form of carousel, then some maybe article will be here, and another article will be here. Now, you can see that we have sectioned this web page into 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The div tag, most of the time, is used to do this sectioning, to achieve this sectioning. However, at the same time, we have other section element tag like the nav tag, which is specifically used for your navigation bar. Navigation. And this is where you have your menu, the most common menu, e.g., the home page, the about page, etc. Any question on what we have discussed so far?
No, sir.
Good. Now, as I said, we have the nav bar. If we go to the booklet, we will see something of that nature. I think, let me see. Let's go on table, forms. Yes, you can see it. Okay, let's go to page 31. '25. Okay, yes. Now, you can see this nav element. This is the nav element, right? And even you can see the header element. They are all sectioning elements, even the main. You can see this another one there. And this is a section here. You can see this section, right? Now, this another main, good. This an aside, good. You can see an aside and the footer. Now, all these section elements, the header, the nav, the main, the section, the aside, and the footer, like I said, they are majorly used for semantic purposes to divide your pages. And if we look at it, let's say we are trying to write an essay. Most of the time, our essay is kind of divided into the header. you have your header, which is your topic now. Then you have the paragraphs, right? Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and so on and so forth. Then the conclusion down there. Now we can say that this is more like you are kind of dividing your essay into into different parts, right? In this case, we can say, okay, we can use the header here, the header element here, for example. Now we use the p tags here. All these p tag, right? All these p tag can now be inside the article because that is our article, right? All the p can be inside the article element, right? Then the conclusion we can say it can be right within the footer elements. So now, why are they so important? They are so important because it gives our page meaning, and it makes our page much easier to style. We understand that with time. So let's just do a little example of this tag, this div tag. Let me open my what's it called? Yes, Visual Code. So let's say new folder. Today is 2nd, 12, 2023. Okay, so now we have our new folder. So I will create a new file. I'm going to name it index.html. So I'm just going to quickly copy and paste the boilerplate, which I already have somewhere just to save my time. So I'm going to copy this and just paste there. Now, is there anyone in the class who is seeing this as very strange? Anyone, please? Anyone in the class who is seeing this as very strange? Okay, good. No one. I am saying no one because nobody is talking. Nobody is raising any query. Now, let us say, let's say we want something, a page of this format. We want to have our menu page. We are not going to do any menu now. We will get to that later. And let's say we just want to, hello? Are you talking to me? Okay. So let's say we want to divide this into the article and just this article and the footer, for example. So let's see how we can achieve that using the div tag. All right. So now the first thing first is to create our div tag. The first div tag, the second div tag, and the third div tag. Please give me just 2 seconds. Let me just. All right, sorry for that break. So now remember that we said we want to design this page, right? So you can see that I created 3 div tags. Why? Because I'm dividing this page into 1, 2, and 3. Now, if I just save this, right, and I preview it, you will see that there's nothing on the page. Why is it so? The reason is that div tag is an empty container, right? It is empty container. In fact, not just div tag. Most of the sectioning elements, they are empty. They are just container. So once you create them without you having any content within them, it will be empty. It is until I have a content, say I'm having 1, 2, and 3, like that. That is when you start seeing something there. But you can see that it is lumped together, and that is the nature of
Bratola, somebody in the
element.
class said they can't see the screen.
They can't see the screen?
Somebody said that.
We can see the screen, sir.
The person should log out and log in. Log out and log in. Since it's peculiar to you, others can view the screen. Now, you can see that everything is lumped together. And I remember doctor discussing about this when he was talking about the block level element and the inline level element. This is very, very important to keep in view, because the reason is this: CSS is all about the box. We call it the box model, right? We will still discuss more about that. Every element, they are rectangular box. If you want me to show you, you will see it now by the time I give some border to this. But before this, I have a tool called pesticide, right? Let me just copy this and go to my browser where I have that. If I paste this and I turn on my add-on pesticide, can you see that pesticide is able to tell me that this div tag, the div tag, is what? A block level element. Why is it a block level? Because it spans from one end. Oh, sorry. It spans from one end of the browser to the other end, like that. Right? That is why it is called a block level. It blocks that line. It will not allow any other thing to stay beside it, except you specifically tell the browser to do so, which we'll learn later. However, when we talk of inline, the inline is not it is not as stringent as the block. Inline still allows other elements to stay by their side. For example, the span tag, for example. The span tag will only occupy a space and it will still allow other elements like other span or image, for example, to stay by the side, right? Even this image, at times it will push things down, depending on the layout. So now, having seen the effect of that div tag, let's go back to the code. Just for us to view it, let us put a span tag here. A span tag. Let's say I am span. Right? Now let's go to the browser and refresh. You can see it's right there, but let me turn the pesticide back on so that you can see. Can you see the red line, the red border? That is where the span is occupying, just that little space there. Whereas the div is occupying the stretch from one end to the other end. So this is block, 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 and this is what? Inline elements. Okay, so let's continue. Now, for us to achieve our design, we need to start giving our div some dimensioning, like the width and the height. But before we do that, because now we are getting into CSS. Now, by now, I want to assume that you know how to integrate your HTML and CSS together. Is there anyone in the class who does not know how to integrate to include CSS into the HTML? Is there anyone?
I don't think I'm sure about that because we haven't really gone into CSS much. We've done styling class and a few others.
Okay, good. Thank you, Stellari. Any other person? Please make this class interactive. I like Stellari. I love her so much because she speaks up. Please.
Same thing here.
Aha. Okay, same thing there. Okay, good. All right. So that means I will start from the beginning then. Now, what is CSS?
Sorry, sir. Somebody is struggling to see the screen.
That's interesting. Others can see it. I think it's just you. I can see this. So you said I can see the screen perfectly.
Oh, you can see the screen now.
No, as in somebody is replying. Is it Kenny that is saying?
Yeah, it's Kenny. Yeah, it's Kenny that's
see the same result. Unable to. Okay, let me reshare. There's no problem with me resharing. I'm going to stop sharing now. Now I'm going to reshare again. So, can everyone see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see.
Yes.
I can see as well.
I want Kenny to talk. Kenny, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen, Kenny? Okay, I guess I can move on. So now, as we know, CSS, the full meaning is cascading style sheet. we should understand what styling means and what sheets. Sheet is just a document. So a document used for styling. But what does cascading mean? What does cascading mean? Cascading means something in hierarchy, maybe something of hierarchy connected to another level of hierarchy, connected to another level of hierarchy. So whatever style is there, right, can be overridden by whatever style is there because of that level of specificity. We will still talk more about that anyway. So this is what cascading is all about. Now, why do I use this analogy? I'm using this because of the ways CSS is integrated into your HTML. Now we have three ways. We have the external, we have the internal, and we have the inline. Let's start with inline. Now, inline is the style attributes within your tag. Let's say I have a P tag now, and I include a style attribute here. Whatever property and value I am kind of assigning to this style attribute. This is an attribute. So whatever value or the property, because we call this key value pair. We call this key value pair. This is the key. In this case, we also give it a property. It's a key, then the value relationship. So we assign this key value pair to the style attribute. Remember, in programming, we call this assignment an assignment. We call this an assignment, although many will say equal to, but equal to is not the right jargon to use. The right jargon to use is an assignment. So the key value pair is assigned to the style attributes, right? And most of the time, the value that we assign to this style is only applicable to these elements, right? We call this element, am I right? This element tag. Am I right?
Yep.
So whatever key value pair that we assign to this style attribute is only applicable to this p tag, not any other p tag element. Let me clear this screen for clarity's sake. So now, when we assign, for example, a style, and we say color, we give it blue. Let's say a value blue, for example, and we close it. And we say hello there, hello. And we close our p tag, right? Now, this property we make the content of this p tag, which is your hello. This is the content of the p tag. It will turn this into a blue color. Let us practicalize that one first. Let's say I will come back to the div. Let's say I have P tag and I say hello. I know you must have done this, but let's just refresh it. And we have the style attribute, style attribute. Then I give it a property of color and I say blue. Now you can see already that this is blue. It might not be obvious. Let me change it to red. Oh, sorry. Hello, back, and the color red. You can see, right? Is red in color. Let me make it bigger. Now, there's another property called the font size. This will increase the font, but just don't pay attention to this first. I'm only trying to explain the inline elements. I'm only trying to explain the inline elements. So you can see now this font size, right, increased the size of this hello, the content of the what? The P tag. Remember, whatever key value pair that we assign to this style attribute is only applicable to this paragraph. Let me put in another paragraph so that we can see. Now you can see that this other paragraph is not affected by this style. Why? Because this is only specific to this paragraph element. Any question on inline? So this type of styling that we just did here is called the inline styling. Any question on this inline before I go forward? Okay, good. No question. So let's move on. Now, remember I said that we have the inline, then the internal. The internal goes within the head tag of your page. What do I mean by that? Now, let me demonstrate here. This is my head tag, head element. So for me to include styling here, I will have to do what? Write my style tag. And I will close my style tag. Now, this style that we wrote as attributes in the inline styling, we will take it out and just write it in the head right here by saying just style, then like that. So everything that we insert in here now we apply to our page. Now, what is the difference between this inline and the internal? This is the difference. As we saw, let me clear my screen. This inline is only applicable to this paragraph tag. This is not affected. Only this got affected, but this not affected. Why? Because we only wrote the styling, the style attribute for this element. Now, if we, however, the internal, if we write the same style, it will affect, it is more global in nature. What do I mean by global? It will affect all the paragraph within If this is a paragraph, this is a paragraph, everything here will be affected. Now, let me clear my screen. Before, let me duplicate many p tag. P tag. Let's say, hello, my name is Tola. So now, if I take this style up here, now, how do I target my elements? Unlike the inline that is written directly inside the p tag, you have your style, the inline, right? It has already targeted this paragraph specifically. But now, if I say I want to write same within this style, how do I say, okay, I want the paragraph to be affected? How do I do that? And that is where what we call selector comes in. Selector. I'm trying to select an element, right? I want to select an HTML element. So I need to indicate that element by indicating that selector. So in this case, I want to target the paragraph element. So I will say P. So this is my selector. Now for this selector, what style do I want to apply to it? So the style will now go into a curly brace. So every style inside here, inside this curly brace, will be applied to all p tag within my page. Let me clear my screen. So now let's practicalize it. Let me take this out. Or let me just cut it. So everything is normal. Okay, let me change this to welcome, just to make a difference. Okay. Now, like I said, for me to target the paragraph elements, I will indicate the p tag, which is my selector. I am selecting. Then I will give it this styling. Any style will be written within this curly brace. So let me just copy what I just pasted now. Let me delete this one out just to make it faster for me in writing. So now you can see now I've applied a color to the font, red, and I've increased the font size to 4 root M. Don't worry about this. We will discuss about that when we get to units. Now, if I say, okay, I don't want to see this for now, you can see the font is normal. However, the color is red. Unlike the inline, which only apply the styling to a single element at a time. You can see that this one is saying, yes, UP take red, you the next P take red, U2 take red, and take red. Now, if I decide to apply this font size, this side is saying, you this paragraph, take this size, take this size, take this size, take this size, take this size. I know questions may be coming up within yourself that's, okay, how in case I want to select just a single one, how do I do it? Don't worry, we will get there. Remember, we are only trying to explain the inline, the inline, the internal, and the external. Ways that we can integrate our style sheets into our HTML. So as you can see, we are now integrating, let's say this is our HTML. So we are now integrating CSS into our HTML. And remember also, let me use this. Let me clear this. Remember, your browser, let's say this is browser B, I will put B there, understands HTML. Now, let's say this is our HTML, right? We have written our HTML. Now we have integrated our CSS inside our HTML. Then later we will see that we can also integrate our JavaScript into our HTML. Remember, the three technologies you need in web development is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So everything will be integrated together, and all of these will now be loaded into your browser. So just to say, no, we have something of this nature. So that means that the browser is now loading the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, everything integrated together inside the browser. Now, having explained that as a fresh up, so let's go back to our code. Now, any question? We have discussed two concepts now. We have discussed the inline styling. We have discussed internal styling. Any question? Any question?
No more go.
Okay, no question. Okay. Now, before I go to external, right? Let me talk more about the CSS syntax. It's very important, please. I'm stressing it because it is so important, the CSS syntax. I have been talking about it for some time now, but you will need, let me just put it in a proper perspective. Let's say we have a P tag. It can be P, it can be H1, it can be anything. All these are called selector. This is your selector. Now, for you to apply your styling, you put a curly brace. Then your declaration. Now, each declaration consists of the declaration consists of the property and value. So we have the property, then the value. Let's say, since we have been talking about color, let me use the color. Then column there, this is your property. Then we've been using red, so this is your value. Now, this is a single declaration like this. This is a single declaration. And we use semicolon to separate multiple declarations. So I can have, just like in the code, I use font size. This is another declaration. This is another declaration. So in the example, I use a font size, and I give it what a value of for REN, semicolon. So this is also what? What is this? I want chorus. Is it property or value? I want an answer. What is this font size? Is it property or value?
The name font size, I think it's the property.
Yes, property. Property. Why this is now the value? Any question?
So, sir, what it means is that everything on the left, when you have the declaration, is a property.
On the left, yes. Yes,
Okay.
this is property. And the right is the value. Yes. And remember, for you to style, you need to indicate your selector. We will discuss more on selector later. We have so many different types of selectors. We have the simple selectors, the combinator selectors, the pseudo class selectors, and so on, attribute selectors. We have different types. Even the ID selectors, the class selectors, they are all selectors. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, good. So now let me give a quick classwork. I'm going to give just a quick classwork just now. I want you to quickly do this for me. Say, design a simple web page. Okay, no. Let me do it. Let me give it a capital letter. Quickly do it. It's very simple. Give this a font. Okay, just color. Just do color for me. Color of blue. Then just do a paragraph. Welcome to the class, and give this a color of red. I want you to use H1 for this, H1 tag, and use paragraph tag for this. And use internal CSS to style this, and use inline to style this. 5 minutes. Let me pause the recording. 5 minutes. So the reason why we started with Notepad is this, so that you understand the foundation, the rudiments of how HTML is written and how it is loaded into the browser. That is all. Now, what Visual Code is doing, Visual Code is doing the same thing. Is doing that at the back end. Although Visual Code or any other IDE, which means Integrated Development Environment, what they do is that they provide you with other features like intelligence. They suggest what's it called, code to you. Maybe this, if you want to write a style now, they suggest the color, they suggest the borders, fonts, and also the weight of the fonts, right? Those are the things that the ID provide. It makes life much easier, but you need to understand what is happening at the back end. That is the reason why we started with Notepad. So now, having said that, let me quickly run through. Let me put this inside a comment, so that we just quickly run through the classwork before we now fully go into this third one. So I said H1 tag. This one should not be difficult at all. Welcome. Welcome.
You're not sharing your screen, sir.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. So sorry. Let me quickly share. So, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, madam. So now I see, you can see that I've written H1. First of all, I commented this out, right? You know how to comment. You use this tag, your left angle bracket, exclamation mark, dash, dash, to comment your code. The moment I commented this out, you can see it's not showing on the browser any longer. That is why anything you don't want to be displayed, you apply comments to it. So now I have my p tag now. My p tag, which is I said I think I said welcome to the class. I think, let me see. Let me just put something there. Welcome to the class. To the class. And I said I want this to be styled inline. Let me remove this one. Let me remove this selector out. So I said I want this to be styled inline, to use inline styling. So I use style, then color, red. Yes, red. Then for this other one, which is welcome, I should use my internal CSS, which is H1. H1 is the selector now, but I should not put this one anyway. So, no, blue. I said this should be blue. So that is it. It's as simple as that. Now we have been able to integrate CSS into our HTML. Now, let's now go to the third way of, which is the most common way of styling. We use now. Why do we prefer? Why is this preferred more than this? Better than inline? This is the reason. Let me explain. Let's assume there is okay. Let me use this both side so that it will be clearer. Why do we prefer internal over inline? And the same reason we prefer external over internal and over inline. Now let's say, let us say we have p tag here, one p tag. We use a style, maybe red. I'm only using this as an example. Another p tag, say blue, and another p tag, say orange, and another p tag, say green. Now, and suddenly, your customer, your client says, no. I want this, so everything here to be blue and to be brown, for example, just for example. Now, assuming we have hundreds of these, hundreds of paragraphs. Now, are we going now to go into each one of them to now effect that change? You can imagine how tedious, how laborious that will be, going into each of the P tags, changing their style one after the other, one after the other. One, it should be so demanding on us, and even at a point we get tired. And that is the reason why internal is preferred over inline. Why? Because you can change it in one place, in just one place. Just one place. Just change it here. Once you change it here, every other thing will just be affected. It makes our job easier, and it even makes us to be more professional. in designing. So the reason why internal is preferred over inline is for us, is just for management purposes, to be able to manage our code properly. Now, it is that same reason why external is what? Preferred over internal, and is also preferred over inline. Let me clear my screen. So now, external, how does that work? Now we have our HTML right there, and we now create another sheet. This sheet is a file, right? You can call it any name. Okay, let me call this my CSS. One thing that you should note is this: your file must have an extension of .css. Whatever file name that you give it, whether it's taller, it must have .css. Whether it's Rashid, it must have .css. Whether it's Josh, it must have .css. Just like HTML, whatever file name, is it home page.html, maybe about.html, and so on and so forth. This file extension is very, very important. Very important. You know, when we talked about inline and internal, we did not talk about .css. Why? Because those ones were integrated inside the HTML. Inside the HTML itself. It's not external to this HTML. It's right inside the internal and maybe the inline. It is internal to this HTML. So there's no need to create an external file. But when we are talking about external style sheets, external CSS, we need to create a file external to this HTML. So that is why you must end your file name with .css. .css is super important. Now, we have our HTML page, and we have our CSS. Okay, I call this my style .css. Now, and I write maybe my selector, the H1, for example, and I put it inside a curly brace, and I say color, for example, is red, right? Now, how do I now integrate this sheet into the HTML? That is the next question. So we use a link inside this. We create a link tag, LINK, link tag. Then we now indicate the source. Maybe we say, okay, first of all, just indicate the relationship. Okay, the relationship between this HTML and this sheet is what? A style sheet. It's a style sheet. Style sheet. That's the relationship. Then I will now give it a link. I must link this into this HTML. How do I link it? I will use href. Remember your anchor tag. So it is the same. I will now use the href to link to my dot / my style dot css. Then I will forward and close it. It's a self-closing tag. Let us practicalize it so that just to cement it for us to get more clarity on it. So I have my, okay, let me close. So now let me remove this now. This is now outdated. So I remove my comment again. Okay. So instead of internal, I'm going to create another file. I will call it, where is the file? Sorry, let me create another file. I will call it my style sheet .css. Super important. So this is my style sheet. So let's say I want to target all the paragraph. I want to target these paragraphs, everything here. So I will say, I will come here, P, open my curly brace. Remember the selector that's what I'm targeting. So I will say color. I will give it red. You will see that nothing happened. There's nothing. It's not turning red. Why? Because I am yet to link this file to my HTML. So now I will do that in the edge section using my link tag. Link, then relationship. I will, no, not that one. REL. Yes, that's one. It's a style sheet. I'm trying to bring in a style sheet into my document, then my href, right? Then I will indicate my style, which is my style does that. So I will now close it. Already you can see it has been affected. So now you can see that this is outside your HTML. And for you to link this style sheet to your HTML, mute yourself. Sanusi, mute yourself. So I have my style sheet, which is external to my HTML file. So for me to link the two together, I use the tag link. Link a style sheet, and I specify the source using the href attribute. And my source is right in the same folder. Because it is in the same folder, that is why I'm using the /. I can as well just remove the /. It will still work. But best practice is put the // there. The same folder. This says this file, my style sheet.css, is in the same folder with my index.html. Any question on that? Any question on that? No question. Okay, fine. Now let us now go to the final topic of today, which is a div. Remember, I said we want to create something of this nature, right? So let's go there now. This is the final thing I'm going to discuss today. And I'm going to give you an assignment that we apply this. So now, for us to now see our box, the box of each of these div. I'm going to target each of these div. Now I will give each of them an ID. This is where the ID that we have been discussing so far is so important. So I will give it div1. Div1. I will give this one to ID of div2, and I will give this an ID of div3. Now, ID is identity, just like your ID card. It's peculiar to you, right? So now I can now use this ID, which is a selector on its own. So now target each of these. Now, if I go to my external sheet, if I just say div, let me just say div. If I say this, I want you to pay attention. And I give this a border of 1 pixel. The thickness of my border, I want it to be 1 pixel. I want it solid. Then I want it black. Anyway, black. Doesn't matter. Black. Now, already you can see that every div, the 3 divs, have been given a style of what? A border, right? 1, 2, this is a border for div1, div2 has a border, div3 has a border. Now, if you now go back to your CSS, right? I can now say I want this to be of height. For example, height of say 600 pixels, for example. Once that is done, you can see it's already giving this the style. But I don't want everything to have the same height. I don't want this style, right, to apply to all the 3 divs. And that is the reason why I am giving each of these divs a specific ID so that I can target each one separately. So now, for me to target just this one, I will, instead of just giving it a generic of div, I will say target the ID div1. Now, how do I target the ID? I target the any ID. First is you use the pound sign. You see this pound sign? This pound sign is a pointer to ID attributes. ID attributes. But now, which of the ID am I trying to target now? So I want to target the ID div1. So everything like this is now my selector. So now I will come here, write div1. Instead of giving it height of 600, let me just give it height of 200. Or even 200 is too much. Say 100. Okay, that's fine. Height of 100. So if you can, already you can see, let me clear the screen. Already you can see the ID here. This ID already having the height of 100 pixel and the border of 1 pixel and a solid, as you can see. The rest two do not have any styling, or do they? I want an answer. Div2 and 3, do they have any styling?
No.
No. Only div 1 has the styling rating here. And that is because of I targeted that particular ID attribute, ID div 1, which is this one. Now, if I want to target ID div 2, the same thing. I'm coming here, I will go back here, go to the next line, ID div 2, put in my style there. Also, I want to give this a border of 1 pixel for this time around. Let me just say red, just to differentiate it. Now I want to give this height of say 400 pixel. So you can see already we have that style. Let me go to the browser so that we can see it properly. You can see div 1, this is div 1, and this is div 2. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
No.
Good. We have less than 15 more minutes to close this class. So let's move on. So now the third one, which is, let me clear the screen, which is div 3. I'm going to write its own selector right after that. I will say ID div 3. I will also give it a border. But this time I will say, let me give it a blue border. And I will also give it height of 100 pixel. So now we have our 3 sections. One, this is 1, 1, 2, and 3. Any question on this? Any question on this? No question. That's fine. All right. So let's move on. Now, where am I? Yes. Let me clear the screen. Clear the screen. So now I can now go back to my HTML and I decide to write content there. Let me just quickly generate a content from lorem ipsum. Let me just go to lorem ipsum. Just to generate some content. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, just do this, copy. Go to my code, put no, this one is header. Let me just put the content there. Just to put something there. Then on the header, I can say my page. The header, I can say my welcome to my page. Welcome to my page. Then we can say footer, contact address, for example. Right there. Okay. So if you go back to the browser, this browser. So as you can see, now we have our content. Now let me remove the border because the border does not make it, it's not making it to look nice. The reason why I use the border is just to create the visual separation among the div. So let's go back. So as you can see, oh, typo error there. Welcome to my page. So that is it. Any question, you can see that easily we are able to divide this page into 3 sections. Right. Now, the last one is, let us see how we can divide our page into this form. We have this, we have this, and we have that. So that means that we have one div here, another div here, another div there, another div there. So 4 divs. So let's go to our code and see how we can do that. Right, the code we have here. So I'm going to create another div here since we are talking of 4 divs now. Div tag, I will give it an idea of what? Div 4, right? Div 4. Then close the tag. Let me just say div 4. Let me remove this div 3. Let me leave. Okay, let me just remove everything here. It's so long. Let me just move from here. Okay. All right. So div 2 and okay, let's leave. Welcome back to my page. So now, how do we achieve the order? This design. How do you achieve this? We can see that div 2 and 3, they have the same height. And this one, we can also give this and this the same height, just for demonstration's sake. But this other div 2 and 3, they must sit side by side. So let's see how we can achieve that. So let me clear the screen. Clear the screen. Let us reduce the height of div 2. And since I want to give div 2 and 3 the same height, so I'll come here. For now, I will still do this for now. Later, we can see how we can improve on it as we proceed in the CSS class. So now we have the border. So I'm going to give the 2 and 3 200 and 200. Then div 4, hashtag div 4, I will give it height of 100. Okay, let me just copy this out. Height of 100. So now we have our 4 divs. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But we want 2 and 3 to stand side by side. How do we achieve that? I have a message. Sorry, sir, I'll be leaving now. Okay. All right. So now, 2 and 3, we want it to be side by side. How do we achieve that? Remember, from block level and inline level element, a div is a block level. So we need to make it to be displayed as inline. So let's see how we can achieve that. Let's go back to the code. So now we want our div 3, 2, and 3 to be displayed as what? Inline And we want this also to be inline. Let me just copy and paste it here. Good. Now, let's go to the browser so that we see clearly. Can you see what is going on here? You can see that now that 2 and 3, they are side by side because they are now inline. But at the same time, we need to know the property of inline. Anything inline, you cannot change the width. The width is determined by the content of that element. Whereas in a block level, the block we occupy from left to right at a stretch, but you can specify the width of this. We cannot set width here, but we don't want the block level. So what do we do? We can use a feature, a property that combines the two features together, which is inline block. So we are going to change the display of the two to inline block now. Why do we want to change it to inline block? So that we can set the width of the two div tags. So let's go back to the code. So instead of inline, I will say inline block. Inline block. Inline block. Already, the height is now taking effect. You can see the height of 200. Let's even crank this up to 300 to make it a kind of more obvious. 300. Okay, so now it is now for us to now set the width. So we can say width, the width of this to what, say, occupy. Let me try something. Whether 50% of the page, yes, good. And also this one, the width to occupy 50% of the page, 50%. Okay, because of the border. Because of the border, it has gone down to the next line. We will discuss more about that in box model. Let me remove the border of the two. So now we have, let me see. Okay, where is it? Okay, it's still not going. That means it is the effect of the browser's styling. So let me reduce the size to 49%, no, 48% rather, 48 and 48. We will still discuss more about that. Okay, it's too small. Let's take it to 49 and 49. Okay, so let's leave it this way. Let me do 4.5. 4.5. Let's see, 0.5. Okay, that's fine. So let's leave it at that size. So let's go back. Let me put back the border of this. Okay, is back. Let's say 0.5, 0.5. Okay, let's say 0.5 here to 0.5. Okay, so let's see our browser. Now you can see that this div 2, is now sitting next to div 3. This is div 1 and div 2, and so div 4 rather. So you can see how we used our display property. Let's go back to the code. How we use our display property, this one, to change the effect of our div so that we can arrange it properly. There are better ways we can do this. We will see that in live. Remember, we are just getting into CSS. So you can see this display inline block, which we use in order to get these two div to sit side by side. Then we used the width to increase the width size of the div. Then we use the height to give it the height, and so on and so forth. Any question on this?
Sir?
Yes.
If you do the same thing in Notepad, will it come out the same?
Of course, it will come out the same. Same, yes.
Yeah, but would you have to save this file as a CSS file or HTML?
You save this one as .css separate if you are using external style sheets.
Okay.
And you save this one to separate. Then once that is done, then you go to your HTML and do what? Link your style sheet with your HTML.
Yeah.
Without this link, this style sheet will not work. So, however, let me clear my screen. However, if you do not want to use external style sheets, but I strongly recommend get used to using what's it called, the external style sheet, because that is the best practice. So if you do not use this, then you just come here within your head tag, you create your style. That is your internal style sheet. You create it there and write your CSS code there. With this one, there's no need for this external style sheet, and there won't be need for you to link it. We are only linking because this is external to this HTML. And because they are two separate files, we need to link this into this by using this link tag. Any other question? Any question? No question. All right. So I'm going to share this recording. Let me stop it because of size. I'm going to stop it now.